Okay, we've finally finished the Zephyr number 6, and it's complete now. Considering we started with what looked pretty much like a box of bits like this, we've come a long way. Not without some big ordeals. Now you'll notice inside the motor here some fresh wire. We had the field coils rewound by one of the members, and who did a fantastic job. But that's not the end of the problems we had. Geez, I don't know where to start. This thing was really terrible to paint. It's a pot metal motor, and every time I put paint on it, it would just bubble up. So I ended up using a technique. I have some adhesive back foil that I covered most of the motor with, which blocked the bubbling. And then I skinned that with some metal glaze, which is like a real hard Bondo, and then began the paint job on top of that. Otherwise, this thing would be covered with bubbles. So that was one ordeal. And I just got it running yesterday, and because I got the field coils back, and only to discover that the gearbox was not functioning. And the reason it wasn't functioning is because the input shaft spur gear that engages with the worm gear was too far gone. It was worn and just wouldn't touch. And so yeah, I called up Verities and said, send me a new one. Yeah, right. I looked at my stash for a new one. Nope, none there. Well, I ended up doing something that would be considered a bodge, or sort of an act of desperation. And these caps here hold the cross shaft that goes sideways through the fan, and that's where that spur gear is located. And what I did was I took one of these caps and I ground off where it engages with the gearbox, so I could move the end of the shaft up and engage the spur gear with the worm gear. And that's set with a set screw here. It pushes that up and engages the gear. Now that's not the ideal way to solve a problem like this, but what are you going to do? You can't get the parts, and you'd have to rob a good fan to get it. So you do what you got to do. It works though. Now this one, I got new bearings in it. I use the Oil-Lite sleeve bearings, which are really frictionless, and they make these things run like like stink. So I just slow it down. I'm running it with the diode in the plug in line, and even so, this thing runs pretty fast. Now the sound this thing makes reminds me of those little RC controlled airplanes. So that's why I'm calling this the Black Bomber. So I'm going to ship this thing. It's ready to go. Complete 100%. Functions 100%. And I think it looks pretty good too. Okay, it's number 6. 4 more to go.